Hey everybody, it is Mother's Day weekend. It's Saturday here at CORA-ntine. I hope you're all having a wonderful weekend the way we are. And I decided to do something that reminds me of my mom and my dad, but it's Mother's Day. It really reminds me of my mom. And I wore a shirt with some boats on it because it reminds me of Greece a little bit. And anyway, I digress, but I'm gonna make some Greek style nachos. And this is something that is really a fun dish to do with the family, with the kids, during any sports season, really any season, but this is an easy recipe. It's basically a take on nachos, but I'm using pita chips and Mediterranean ingredients like feta cheese here. I've got pepperoncinis. I've got some jack cheese and mozzarella mixed in. I have some garlic. I've got Greek yogurt, extra virgin olive oil, roasted red peppers, and some cherry tomatoes and Kalamata olives. I'm also gonna throw in a little thyme. You can use oregano as well if you had. I don't have any, so I'm gonna use my fresh thyme. So the first thing I'm gonna do to start it off is I preheated my oven to 350 degrees. And then what I did was I just took a baking sheet and I put some pita chips really in a single layer. You wanna make sure they're kind of spread out, single layered. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add my cheeses on, and I'm gonna melt my cheese for about 7 minutes in the oven, 6-7 minutes in the oven. So get that cheese all kind of melty on there. And here we go, all that feta cheese on there. The more the better. And then some of the shredded cheese goes on, and that'll melt. Now, if you don't have pepper jack or you don't have, other cheese, you can use a mozzarella. I've got a mix here because I was kind of running out of cheese, so I just shredded a little of everything together. And you can add that on top, whatever you have on hand, really. There is no rules right now. We're just kind of putting a little bit of Mediterranean ingredients on here, and I've got pepperoncinis, which they're a little bit spicy, adds a little kick to it, a little tangy on there, some of the juice too. And then I'm gonna pop this in the oven. All right, for about 6-7 minutes. Once that's melted, the cheese is melted, then I'm gonna make a roasted pepper salsa. Now this is super easy, I mean really easy. Basically, I took some roasted red peppers that I got in the jar. You can, if you have roasted peppers or you have peppers that you want to roast those right on the stove and get them nice and charred. But I just use the jarred kind because it's easy and quick, and that's what I had. And they last for a while in the pantry. Some fresh garlic you throw in, and I'm throwing in my fresh thyme because that's what I have right now, but oregano is preferable. If you have dried oregano, you can use that too. Then I'm gonna add in some extra virgin olive oil and salt, and that's really it. That is the salsa. It is so easy. It's that easy. Take a spoon, mix it up. There we go.
Oh, that looks delicious.
Doesn't that look good? And you're just gonna put this aside. You can make it in a double batch if you want. The recipe, as usual, is at catcore.com. You can go on, you can double this up, triple it up, make a big batch if you're having a lot of people over. Well, you're not now, but if you have a big family like we do. And just kind of mix this in. All right, and then I'll put that in the fridge until we're ready. And set that aside, let it chill a little bit. All right, there we go, right there in the fridge. Oh, everything falls out. Oh. The fridge is a little full. I need to reorganize that. Okay, we won't worry about that right now. Anyway, so what I'm doing next is I pulled out some cherry tomatoes, and I've got Kalamata olives. So I've got some Greek olives. I'm just gonna split those. These are actually pitted. So some of these don't look like, they're kind of whole in here. I'm gonna cut those in half, get those halved here while my cheese is melting. And the cheese doesn't have to melt completely because you're gonna put it back in the oven for a minute. So you're just gonna have this to warm it. Now you can get all of this prepped up ahead of time, obviously. I think those are all done there, honey. And then I have my Greek yogurt. I like to use a Greek thick yogurt. I use the plain. I like to use light or even fat-free, but plain Greek yogurt because it's nice and thick. You can see that. And then I have my cherry tomatoes that are split and ready to go.
And the Greek yogurt, it has like billions of probiotics, right?
Oh, so many probiotics in it that,
good for digestion.
It's so good for your gut. It's so good for your stomach and your digestion. And it's, healthy. So I like to use this in place of sour cream. Even if I'm making cakes and things like that, sometimes I'll use it in place of heavy creams, other things like that, because it just
instead of mayonnaise.
Instead of mayonnaise, So that's just a really good alternative. A lot of times when the boys want sour cream and I don't have it, I just put it in a bowl and I say, here you go. There's got some something good for you. And I use the Greek yogurt instead of the sour cream. So, all right, I'm gonna pull these out. Woo, look at that. That is some good.
That smells amazing.
Doesn't that smell amazing? Oh, I love that. What do I have under here? Oh, it's just
I am the luckiest wife.
You are so lucky. All right, now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put some cherry tomatoes on here. Now, if you want your cheese a little more melted, you can always put it back in. This actually got hot. I have a very hot, our oven is very hot. Sometimes your oven is gonna be a little cooler, sometimes it's gonna be a little hot. Some run very hot. Ours does because we have a convection on it, which makes it hotter. So sometimes I have to cook things, instead of cooking it 50 minutes, I cook it 40 minutes.
And our oven is like it's like so small.
It's small, so it's this little small fancy oven here. So, you know, I just cook it a little less time. If your, you know, oven is a little cooler and it runs a little cooler, you cook it for a little more. So you just really have to gauge it all. So I'm gonna put the olives on now as well. This is so good. This is one of my favorite things to put out when we're having people over. We're not doing that now during quarantine, but you know, we used to, and we will again. This is one of my favorite dishes to put out because it's so easy to make, and you can use in a bigger sheet tray, you can make more, double up the recipe. And then what I'll do is I'll take out the salsa that I had in here. Good, nothing fell out. Oh my God, we're safe. Shut that quick, or something comes flying out. And then I'll just put the salsa around it. And you can put a little extra on the table. People can kind of, because this is really, really, really yummy, and it's pretty addictive. So you can just put the salsa all over it like this. Whew. That's some good stuff. These are all the flavors that I love. It's making my mouth water. It's all the flavors that I love. It's like my soul food. And all that on there, all that goodness. And then you just put on some coolness to it. You cool it off a little bit with a few dollops of the yogurt all over it. And then of course, I always put a little more of this out as well so people can dip some in the yogurt. But this just cools off those flavors. And you put the
yogurt on before you put it back in the oven? Or you don't put it back in the oven? No, you
don't. If you're gonna put it back in the oven, for instance, if that time frame, if you wanna pull it out, you do want it to go back in the oven. Maybe it sat for a minute, you wanna cool, warm it up again. I would do it before you put the yogurt on, for sure. All right, and then you just put on some little dollops of this yumminess. And there you have it.
Oh,
I think I covered it up. And then it all gets mixed in there. All the yogurt and all the yumminess gets mixed in. And there you have it. This is my Greek style nachos. Happy Saturday, everybody. We're in Quarantine Cuisine. I hope you have a wonderful Mother's Day weekend. And I'm giving you a big food hug. Make sure, remember, you have one more day. It's Saturday. Tomorrow's Mother's Day. You have one more day. Go to cameo.com, and I'm happy to send somebody you love a Mother's Day message. I'm giving you a big food hug. Here we go, and mwah.